Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, I have an interesting video here that we're going to talk about. It's on the basis of March Madness. What if the NFL had a March Madness bracket? You know, with tonight's men's college basketball championship happening, I figure this is a good time to do it. As you know, UConn was the women's winner from yesterday, and tonight we'll know the winner of the men's tournament. Really hoping it's not Houston, but overall, this is our bracket. First, we're going to start with the NFC. Feel free to pause and take a look at the more in-depth bracket. And we're going to work through this bracket. We're going to go division by division, starting with the NFC. So let's go ahead and get into the simulation. So first off, we have the Giants at the Lions. And as you can see, Giants get the upset win over the 1-seed Lions with a 10-6 victory over the Lions. So the Giants are going to be moving to the second round. Lions... embarrassing loss. I mean, that was an upset. Next set of games, we have the Seahawks over the Atlanta Falcons 10-7. Nothing really surprising there. The Seahawks were supposed to win. It was a 9 versus an 8, so it was a close game, just like it was supposed to be. Next up, the Vikings and 49ers. Vikings get the win 17-10. Vikings were supposed to win. They were the 5 seeds, so no real surprise there. The Vikings are moving on to the next round. And the 49ers, I thought they maybe had a chance to be a sneaky team, but here's an upset. The Bears over the Rams 18-7. Close game, but I was expecting the Rams to make it a little bit farther there, especially out of the first round. I thought the Rams could have been a sneaky team, but the Bears go ahead and shut that down. So the Bears are moving on to the next round. Next up, the Bucks at the Panthers, and the Bucks end up winning in a close divisional game, 17-14. So the Bucks are going to the next round. Surprised the Panthers put up this good of a fight because the Bucks were a 3 seed, but it was a close game overall. Next up, another divisional matchup where we have an upset. The Cowboys over the Commanders, 20-17. Like I was saying, this is an upset. Jay Daniels and the Commanders were one of the higher seeded teams. Cowboys, not so much, but the Cowboys are going to the next round. And then I believe we have one more. But anyway, the Packers and the Cardinals. Packers beat them 21-14. Pretty close game. Cardinals aren't exactly good. Packers are kind of underrated in Madden, but Packers get the win, moving on to the next round. And this is their final game for the NFC first round. Eagles at the Saints. And, the Eagles, they win 20-13. Pretty good fight for the Saints, but overall the Eagles, they're just better. They end up coming out on top. So this is our updated bracket. Feel free to pause, take a look. Giants, Seahawks, Vikings, Bears, Bucks, Cowboys, and Packers and Eagles. And then, like I was saying, we're just focusing on the NFC now, just so there's no confusion there. So let's go ahead and get into the second round of games. So starting off here, Seahawks, they end up beating the Giants 28-17. So, much more offense being scored in the second round, especially from both of these teams. But the favorite does win. The Cinderella story for the Giants doesn't last long as they end up losing to the Seahawks. Seahawks moving on to the next round. Next up, the Bears and the Vikings. A divisional game, pretty close game, but the Bears come out on top 28-24. So maybe the Bears will end up being our Cinderella story. We're going to have to keep an eye on that because the Bears, they were a 13 seed. They weren't supposed to be good, but they have now knocked off the Rams, who I believe were a 4 seed, and then the Vikings, who were 5. The close game here between the Cowboys and Bucks. Really close, low scoring. They end up going to overtime, as you can see. Cowboys end up winning 7-0, so they're going to the next round. But this game, down to the wire, I mean, the Cowboys scored at the end of overtime. Like, it was late in the game. Finally, the final game for the second round, Packers and Eagles, 24-21. Really close. Get the upset. Eagles eliminated. The NFC has been filled with a bunch of upsets. We don't have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seeds going on into, the final 4 teams for the NFC. So taking a look, these are our final 4 teams. Seahawks, they're going to end up playing the Bears. Cowboys going to end up playing the Packers. So there is a chance here, hypothetically speaking, that we have a Bears-Packers rivalry matchup to see who wins it all. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Let's go ahead and start the simulation of the final games here. And as you can see, Bears end up winning 28-20 over the Seahawks. So it does look like the Bears are a Cinderella story. They're playing really well offensively. Defensively, they're kind of hanging in there, doing enough. But the offense, I would say, is what is carrying them through this tournament, and they are on to the next round. In this other game, also another close game, the Green Bay Packers are going, so we're going to have that rivalry matchup. The Packers beat the Cowboys 17-14. Close game. Packers, they just did a little bit more defensively. I'd be okay with letting up 2 touchdowns. The offense has been struggling a little bit, so going to want to get that right. But here we go. In the finals, we have that divisional matchup, rivalry game, whatever you want to call it. Should be interesting because the Packers kind of own the Bears in recent years. So it'll be interesting to see how Madden has the simulation going. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. We're going to take a more in-depth look at how the game went. So as you can see, the Bears end up winning by a close game, 24-21. Down in the left corner, that's our completed bracket with the Bears, winning it all from the NFC side of things. So the Bears will be in our finals. And like I was saying, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at more of the in-depth stats real quick. Not going to get too into it, though. Caleb Williams throws for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's a really good game there for Williams. Love throws for about 187, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So really good game in the passing game for both teams. Taking a look at the rushing, both teams average over 4 yards a carry. So the run game, they're doing their job there. Take a look at receiving. Christian Watson had 2. Odunze had 1 touchdown. Komet Allen, 1 touchdown. Josh Jacobs with 1. So overall, both teams put together really good offensive games. Just seems like the Bears, who knows, maybe the Bears had the ball last, but they end up getting the upper hand. So next up, the AFC. This is our AFC bracket. Like I said before, feel free to pause at any time if you want to take a look at the bracket a little bit more in-depthly. I'm not going to, just for the sake of the video, this is a little bit longer. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet for the most part. First matchup, the Chiefs over the Tennessee Titans. No surprise there. They end up winning 26-7. Like I was saying, no surprise there. This is the 1 versus the 16. So we do have the 1 seed going on, unlike we do in the NFC. So the Chiefs are moving on. Next up, the Bengals over the Colts, 24-21. Another close game. This was the 8 versus the 9, so it's good to see a close game happening. And yeah, I mean, the Bengals, they're going to have a matchup against the Chiefs. There's some playoff history there. First upset of the AFC, the Jags over the Chargers, 17-7. So the 12-seeded Jags, I believe it was, over the 5-seeded Chargers. Like I was saying, that's an upset. So that's the first upset that we have for the AFC. Next up, Texans over the Patriots. Patriots played well, only losing by 2, score of 19-17. The Texans, they're a 4 seed. The Patriots put up a pretty good fight, but just not enough to take down the Texans. Next up, Ravens at the Raiders. Ravens put together a pretty good all-around performance. 14-0 win, defensively getting the shutout. Maybe you could say you want a little bit more points offensively, but, when you pitch a shutout, it's okay if your offense struggles a little bit. Next up, the Jets end up losing to the Steelers, 24-0. No surprise there. The Steelers were the higher seed. Steelers put together an all-around good performance, good offensively and good defensively. So Steelers are moving on. Next upset we have is going to be the Dolphins over the Broncos with a 10-3 win. So it was a close game. I don't want to say Denver choked, but they kind of did because they were supposed to win. But overall, it was a close game. Dolphins moving on. And then the final game for the AFC, the Bills end up beating the Browns by a score 17-0. Bills put together a pretty good offensive and defensive performance, pitching the shutout that allows your offense to not play up to par a little bit. So this is our bracket heading into the second round with all of the winners. Like I was saying, we only had 2 upsets there with the Jags and Dolphins. Other than that, all the favorites won, so it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues in this round. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. First off, the Chiefs and the Bengals, really close game, but the Chiefs take it down with a score of 24-21. Like I was saying, close game. Bengals played them well, but the Chiefs, they're just a high overall. They were supposed to win. Madden had them a lot better in the game than the Bengals, so the Bengals put up a good fight, but the Chiefs are on to the next round. And then you got another divisional matchup, Texans and Jags, by a score of 28-13. No surprise there. I mean, according to Madden, Texans are considerably better than the Jags. One thing I want to say, it's interesting to me how many divisional matchups we have seen in this video this far. We have another one here with the Ravens beating the Steelers. Close game, 17-14, but the Ravens come out on top. This was a little bit scary for the Ravens. They were supposed to win. They're supposed to be good. And you have a division opponent like the Steelers. The Ravens in the game are considerably better, but they do end up squeaking out the win, so they are going on to the next round. And we have another divisional matchup to round out the AFC with the Bills and the Dolphins. Bills come out 21-0, dominating win offensively and defensively. That's 2 shutouts that the defense has posted for the Bills in this bracket, I guess you could call it. So overall, defense playing really well for the Bills at this point. So this is the updated bracket. You got the Chiefs and Texans, Ravens and Bills. So we have our 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's really no upsets at this point. We have seen a little bit, but overall, at this point, all the favorites are where they're supposed to be. And we have the Chiefs taking down the Houston Texans 21-10. No surprise there. The trend continues with the favorite winning. And, the Chiefs are just really good. So, they're dominating. They're playing well. They're winning the games they're supposed to win. No surprise there. They're one of the better teams in the game. And then we have a little bit of an upset, I guess. If you're taking a look at seeding-wise, it's an upset. But in the game, the Ravens have a high overall. They end up beating the Bills 20-7. So, according to the bracket, and it's an upset. But if you take a look at the overalls in the game, I think it's a 5 overall difference. The Ravens are higher. So there's that. That's our final game to see who's going to be playing the Bears in the championship game, the March Madness. Who wins the hypothetical March Madness if NFL and Madden did one? It's going to be it's going to be the Chiefs versus the Ravens. And as you can see there, the Chiefs get upsetted by the 3 seed Ravens by a score of 21-17. As you can see down in the left-hand corner, that is our bracket. So the Ravens are going to be playing the Bears. The Ravens are our champion for the AFC. We're going to take a look a little bit more in depth at how the game went. Starting off here, Lamar Jackson had a pretty good game, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, complete 76% of passes. Really good game for him. Mahomes, only 216, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Not bad, but definitely not good. Taking a look at the rushing game, both running backs averaged over 4 yards a carry, so they kind of did their thing, just not really involved much. Taking a look at the receiving, you got Rice getting a receiving touchdown, Flowers and Andrews, and then likely get a receiving touchdown as well. So overall, good game for the Ravens. And as you can tell by this graphic, looks like the Ravens end up winning. And I'll tell you right now, it was not close. It was a blowout. The Ravens, if you go by overall wise, the Ravens were supposed to win this by far. The Ravens, I believe, are a 93. I think the Bears are an 80, so there's a 13 overall difference, and it definitely showed, as you will see in this score coming up. It was not close at all. The Ravens end up winning by a score of 35-0. Taking a look at stats, I was going to be a little bit more in-depth with it. Not going to do that because of how bad it was. We're going to go over these a little bit. 209 yards for Lamar, 2 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, completes 90% of passes. Caleb Williams doesn't throw for 100 yards, only completes 50% of passes, and turns the ball over. So really bad game for Caleb Williams, not bad for Lamar. Derrick Henry, really good game, 63 yards and 3 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, 26 yards and a fumble. So another thing where the Ravens are just on top in the run game. And then you got Mark Andrews for a receiving touchdown, and then you got Nelson Aguilar for a receiving touchdown. So overall, when it came to this sim, the final one, the favorite ended up winning. Just kind of felt like they were really outmatched in this simulation. Anything that could have went wrong for the Bears seems like it did go wrong. But that's our sim. I guess you could say that the Ravens would be the hypothetical winner for March Madness if the NFL did one this year. I had a lot of fun doing this. I thought it was a cool concept. Go ahead, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. It was rather easy to make. I just made the brackets based on how the standings went from the NFL's website from last season. Went ahead, simmed through all of them, and, just kept track of it. So I had a lot of fun doing this. Let me know what you guys think. But when it comes to this video, that's all we got. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden content, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.